Hello, Mina.
Hey, Geoffrey.
So today we're going to be speaking about your real estate project in Spain, so that you speak to us about how it has been for you as a Dutch resident, then Spanish resident now, the whole experience about buying a flat in Spain. So maybe just to begin, can you tell us, so back when you did your first acquisition in 2023, where did you live, what did you do, and why did you even think about buying in Spain?
Okay, so if I remember all these questions.
Yeah.
So I'm originally an Egyptian citizen, and I've been living in the Netherlands for 7 years. I also became a Dutch citizen. And then I've always wanted to have a base in Spain. So came across Terreta and...
Wait, just a question about that. You said I always had thought about Spain.
Yes.
Did you study in Spain? Did
No,
you
not at all.
Go to
No.
holidays in Spain? Or
Went to holidays in Spain a few times, but actually the project or the property that I purchased in Valencia, I had never come to Valencia before, except maybe for a total of 3 days altogether.
Okay, so it was an idea, but you didn't have a
Yes.
connection with Spain.
No, with Valencia, no. With Spain, I liked it as a country. I'm Mediterranean, so of course I like it. But the choice of Valencia was, I would say, 99% based on data and analysis and making sure that this is a good market and that it's not like an impulsive decision that, oh, I just want to be next to the sea.
So for you, it was living in Amsterdam at the time?
Utrecht.
Utrecht.
Yes.
So living in Utrecht, your decision was it's going to be more interesting financially to invest in Spain and specifically in Valencia,
Yes.
than to do that in Utrecht or in the Netherlands.
Well, not only more interesting, but also more feasible, because the property prices in the Netherlands are, for the same type of apartment or house, you can end up paying 4, 5, 6 times more in the Netherlands versus in Valencia or even Madrid. So, and it also, I mean, for anyone who has been to the Netherlands, it's a great country, but sometimes you do miss the sun. Sometimes you do want something that is in I think we'll have, I'm sorry, I got confused because...
No, don't worry.
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything bad about the Netherlands, so...
No, that's fine.
So yeah, anyone who lives in the Netherlands or who has been there knows it's a great country.
Misses sun.
But misses the sun, you miss the good weather, the good food. So this is why people go on vacation. So at the beginning...
So just a question then on that point, because you touched a little bit that, so you bought the first flat that you bought in Spain was in May 2023, well, August 2023,
Yes,
but
yeah.
May 2023, the offer that was accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your journey back then. You live in Utrecht, you contacted us, and then we started to look for you. How was this process for you? I mean, was it easy for you to buy from abroad? Mm-hmm. Did you manage to have confidence without visiting? Did you come back then to Valencia to see the property before? Or did you buy just looking at the photos? Tell us a little bit about this experience.
No, I did not see the property before actually signing at the notary.
Yeah.
And I did not visit it beforehand. But looking at the photos, looking at the video, and also looking at the virtual tour that at the time the agent from Terreta helped me with and like did for me, that made it possible to see everything in the apartment very clearly and to also ask very specific questions. Like I do remember asking the agent at the time that I noticed a little white box in the bathroom, and I knew that some Mediterranean countries have a macerator in the bathroom, which can end up being a big mess. So I was like, if the apartment has a macerator, I don't want it. And then the agent at the time, she checked and told me, no, it's not a macerator, it's just like a storage box. So that was helpful. So I feel like it wasn't really needed to see the apartment in person.
Okay. So you decided to make the offer was accepted, then you go to the notary office. Let's speak about numbers, even if it's not a finance video, but let's say, what was the property price? How did you finance it? Did you buy it with savings? Did you get a mortgage? If yes, from what bank? Tell us a little bit about that, starting with the property price.
So the property price was 105,000. At the time, the financing happened with part of the savings and part of refinancing the house of the Netherlands, which is at the time, I thought this was a very creative idea. But it turns out that a lot of people who live in the Netherlands or who are Dutch, they do this, and it's actually a very common practice. And I knew that from my mortgage advisor at the bank. It's actually ING.
ING.
ING, yes. And she told me, a lot of people who have mortgages with ING in the Netherlands, they end up refinancing their house to buy properties in other countries.
So just to explain, the way it works is you already had your primary home or primary residence in the Netherlands,
yes,
in Utrecht, okay?
Yeah.
It's worth some money, you've already paid back, or the property is worth more than the debt you have with the bank.
Exactly.
You go to the bank and they say, okay, your property is worth this much, I'm able to give you more money because the credit that you have is inferior compared to the...
Exactly, so I'm borrowing money from the bank, more money, with the guarantee of the part that I now own in the house.
Exactly, yeah. And how many years is the mortgage on that?
So the mortgage of the apartment in the Netherlands is 30 years.
Okay.
And the refinanced part was the same.
Okay, so they give you money, give you a mortgage in the Netherlands with ING for 30 years, and it's pretty easy to get the money. Is it fast for you to get the money this way?
I mean, when you compare it to getting the initial mortgage of buying the house in the Netherlands, which was 4 years ago, it's much easier and faster to actually do the refinancing because the bank already knows you, they know your employment history, they know that you are paying your mortgage on time, they know your financial health.
So the risk is managed and it's pretty much all about the property valuation. So I think you explained to me once that this refinancing, you can get a property valuation online?
Yes, so there are two ways to get a property valuation in the Netherlands. Both of them are acknowledged by the bank. The first one is the good old way where you have a taxateur come to your house and go look around and then make the report. Then you take this report and give to the bank. For this, you have to pay somewhere between, I would say, 600 and 1,000, depending on which taxateur you choose.
Property valuation expert. Like a real guy.
Yeah. The second option is to go online on something called and do something called desktop taxatie, which is acknowledged by the government and by the banks. And you can do it, either access it from the bank that you want to take the mortgage from, or just go to Calcasa website, calcasa.nl or calcasa.nl. And then you can enter the details of the house. And within an hour or two, you receive an automatic valuation in your email. It costs something like 90 or 100 euros. The banks acknowledge it equally. It gives you a very realistic value, very similar to the one that the taxateur would give if he came to your place or she came to your place. Except that because this one is much faster and based on data and algorithms, so the banks say we will only give you up to 90% of that value.
They reduce the risk.
Yes, which is still good enough. You don't need, if you don't need more, then you don't need more.
Of course. Plus, I guess you only needed to find 105,000 euro for the property price. So total cost of the operation was 130, I think we said.
So including the taxes in Spain, which are in Valencia 10%, and including the real estate fees and the notary and...
How's that called in Netherlands? The makelaar something?
Real
estate agent.
The makelaar, the makelaar.
Makelaar.
I thought you were gonna ask me to say stuff in Dutch and embarrass me.
No, I know you're Egyptian and I'm French, so we're gonna stick to like easy stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so that part.
And so this 129, 130. That was the total cost of. I like to call it the project because it is a project.
It is a project.
Buying the property, paying the taxes, all the associated fees, but also doing some light renovations and furnishing the apartment.
True.
And bringing it to just a minimum viable product or minimum livable apartment.
So then, so you buy in Spain, you become an owner. So we did the offer in May. In August, at the notary office, you officially become the owner.
Yes.
Then congratulations in Champagne. And after that, you decided to come to Spain and furnish it yourself, and you started to rent it. And also you decided to stay in the flat yourself because I think you said you told me once that you had an agreement with your company that you could work from Spain several months per year.
I mean, it wasn't really a special agreement, but a lot of companies in the Netherlands allow their employees to work remotely for specific amounts of time.
Yeah.
And also in the Netherlands, you have a lot of vacation days, 25 days. So if you take them, they end up being like, with the weekends and stuff and public holidays, you have a lot of time that you can spend outside of the Netherlands.
In Spain, you actually have 3 ways of renting out a flat. It's either touristic, which is by law here less than 10 days. Otherwise midterm, which is basically anything up to 12 months.
Actually, I think it's
11.
up to 11.
It's 11, but like 11 or 12, they basically have a tolerance for that. And otherwise, if it's more than 1 year, it becomes long-term, which is basically a 5-year contract. By law, it's actually 1 year renewable 5 times by the tenant. So yeah, it's blocked. You cannot use your flat. So you kept a flexible agreement there. We didn't talk about your flat. So your flat is so this first flat is in Valencia, in the neighborhood Monte Olivete.
Yes.
And I think we said in terms of like the area and everything, can you talk about the neighborhood?
So the neighborhood is very, very nice. It's a family area. I have to say that I had no idea about that neighborhood because the last 2 times I came to Valencia, I know Rusafa, I know Ciutat Vella, I know like, I don't know, Benny Maclet or something, you know, the famous neighborhoods. Yeah. But Monte Olivet, I remember the agent at the time from the agency. She told me that it's an up-and-coming neighborhood. It checks all the items on the list to become a very, very good, sexy neighborhood for any investor. And honestly, over the last year and a half, we have seen that the prices, I'm so glad that we did not wait that long to buy it.
No, true. That's a very good point. So now jumping to your second acquisition.
Yes.
So recently, well, actually it's in progress because that flat, you've been using it for 1 year and a half. And the new flat that you are buying with us is actually going to be signed at the notary office soon. So not done yet.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit about that. So how did you decide to buy a second one? How did you do the financing this time? Did you decide to do something very similar or not? We didn't mention, your first flat, it's a 1-bedroom flat with 1 office as well so that people can work.
Like a separate space.
With also a balcony, exterior space,
yes.
Which was important for you?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And, so tell us about the second.
So, I mean, briefly, I remember receiving an email, actually from your email address, I think it was from your newsletter or something, about an apartment, which I really liked, and then I called you right away because I know apartments in Valencia go very fast. Yeah. So I remember calling you and saying, hey, I'm interested in this apartment, what's the story? At the time, I had no idea how we are going to finance that place. But it was just, the apartment was so good that I couldn't miss it. Yeah. And then I called you, and then after talking about it, I realized that it doesn't have a balcony, which is something that, for me, honestly, is indispensable in the apartment. Yeah. Yes, it's like, I need to know.
Yeah, because when you buy the first one and the second one, your mentality is that you buy something which can be for you.
Yes.
Always.
Exactly.
Okay, Mina. So I want to finish on the last question. Because obviously you bought in 2023 in Spain your first flat, 2024 your second flat. To people who live in the Netherlands, are expatriates like you were because you lived in the Netherlands for 7 years, what would you say? Was it easy or difficult for you in the end buying in Spain from the Netherlands? Is it something that you recommend, don't recommend? Like, what's your final note?
So I think I definitely do recommend it. I'm also thinking of why didn't I do this earlier? But of course I didn't know as much. I think a very important part of it is the choice of the agency. I tried to find an agency that was a little bit cheaper than you, but I was not successful. There are agencies that are cheaper, but they would never be able to understand the context of someone who is not Spanish and who wants to buy it as an investment or a second home and all this international context. So I think that's very important, and that's what made it easier, especially without visiting it. So that's also what gave me the confidence to buy with you again. And I think when you think about it, when you haven't done a lot of research first, or when you don't do it, it's a little bit of a scary idea, because it feels like, I don't know anything about that country, I don't know anything about that market, how it works, what if I lose the money, what if I don't have the money in savings, I'm not rich, how can I do this? But there are ways to do it, and of course you need to have some sort of interest in real estate or properties, but I think it's very doable. In my context, of course, of living in the Netherlands and working in the Netherlands. Yeah, you don't have to have all the money in cash in order to be able to buy it. I actually believe that's even better, because it decreases the risk, and then if you make income from the project, then it can help you pay the money you borrowed to actually buy it. And it ended up being a very nice experience that, as I said, I'm doing it again, but also it led to moving to Spain. I don't know, you just fall in love with Spain, you fall in love with Valencia, and yeah.
So now you went from I'm spending 2 months per year in Spain to I'm actually moving 100% in here.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're going to be living in which flat? Monte Olivete?
No, the new one, because like you said, it has a little bit more sun, but actually because the area of Monte Olivete is so nice, the new flat is at literally 7-minute walk from the other one, because not only did we fall in love with Valencia and Spain, but the area and the neighborhood. So we thought, well, this is a very low risk investment, because it's been done before, it's been tried, so why take a risk of a completely new area? Which is a little bit different, because at the beginning it was a very scary concept of I'm gonna invest in a country in a city that I visited only like once before, and how does that work? To
be honest, and just that would be my finishing note, because otherwise Giovanni will kill us. But basically, the first time that I bought in Spain was in 2017. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I had never been to Valencia.
Yeah.
I also bought my first flat on the photos. And I also came to Valencia for the first time on the day of the escritura, so the day of the notary office. So I completely understand that. Well, thanks a lot for sharing that story. For me,
pleasure.
The idea of this is that maybe people who are expatriates, maybe living in Netherlands, but otherwise they could be expatriates pretty much anywhere, can get inspired and see that me, have done it, and we're happy about it. And we've moved to Spain as well. So it shows that actually it can be the start of a good life story as well.
No, I agree.
Thank you very much, Mina.
Thanks, Geoffrey.